Yeah. Hello and welcome to 97.9 Unity Radio Moneyline, the best sports talk show in Worcester today, coming to you live from Utica, New York. With me, as always, my entrepreneurial cohort, co-host himself, the coach, Frankie C.
We're back.
Frank Cristiano. Frank, hello.
How we doing?
And our regular, the voice of the voiceless himself, the man who has no filter, Mr. David Schuman. Coach Schuman, great to have you back again.
There's no filter. I love it. That's great.
See, I always do great introductions, and I don't plan them. It's amazing that I'm so good at that without having to plan a single thing. I wanted to start off by talking, obviously NFL training camps have opened and, quarterbacks have been jumping around. There's been a lot of talk about who's going to start where in certain situations. And the first one that came up, Russell Wilson is making his Steelers preseason debut against Buffalo Saturday night against, according to Coach Tomlin. He has Justin Fields on the roster as well. Now, we've also seen preseason games where 0 of the starters have played, 0 of the quarterbacks have played. But Frank, I will start with you. Russell Wilson, he had a really down year in 2022. 2023, I thought he did better. He just didn't get along well with Coach Payton. Do you think that he needs the reps for the Steelers in 2024? Do you think he needs the preseason reps to get comfortable in the system? And do you see him playing more than a series or two? Like, you don't see him playing a quarter or a half or anything like that.
I mean, I think any quarterback coming into a new situation needs as many reps as possible.
Yeah.
I know that the preseason, especially the preseason games itself, is sort of a learning ground for your lower draft picks or your prospective first rounder,
Sure.
Free agents, guys that have been on the practice squad before coming back. But I think in his situation,
he's a seasoned veteran.
Yeah, but he's a seasoned veteran. But obviously from the production that he had in the first 2/3 of his career, the production in the last couple of years really dropped off the table.
He was better last year, yes.
He was better last year, but he's nowhere near where he was in Seattle. So maybe the Seattle organization knew something about him before, and they must have, the way they traded him like that and what they received. But they knew something, and now yes, he's on the downside of his career. You physically you have to make adjustments, but now physically and mentally he's going to have to make adjustments with new receivers, new running backs, a new offensive coaching style. The coordinator. Yeah. So there's a lot of changes that are happening, and I think definitely, and I think we got to see him. I mean, I watched this Steeler game, and they had Fields out there, for the most part, and then brought in their other quarterbacks. But you would think that he would have to take a chunk of reps, at least in the first quarter, first half of games going into the regular season. I would have him do it without a doubt.
Dave, you've seen Russell Wilson play. Same thing with you. I mean, he's obviously with his third organization now in the past 4 years, a new offense, but he's a veteran and he's healthy and he's going to get reps with the first team. I've always felt his size played a factor because he's one of the shorter quarterbacks. He was a third-round draft pick that kind of became a surprise in Seattle and ended up taking over for Hasselbeck, I believe. But what are your thoughts on him starting against Buffalo and, getting substantial playing time? If he does get a quarter or 3 or 4 series on offense.
I think it's all just for him getting his feet wet and comfortable with everything. I mean, they're not going to play him any real length of time to put him in any real jeopardy or like that. I think Russell Wilson, part of his original appeal was he was kind of a true threat in the sense that he could run and throw pretty equally well at the time when he first came into the league. As he gets slower and older, I do agree that the height, I think, becomes a factor because the escapability changes. And I like I argued this for a long time. I'm not shorter quarterbacks have to show me that they can continue to do it. It just because it's just difficult. You got to find windows to throw between. You got to trust a lot of your instincts, and if your legs are not quite as good as they used to be, and maybe they are, I don't know. But as you get older, just naturally start to slow down a little bit here and there, and you can't do some of those things. I think it starts to limit you a little bit as a shorter quarterback. Unless you want, like a Drew Brees, who really is truly a gunslinger and a guy who really, has been in that type of system since he was in college, and understands how to operate in that system, and they're building that system around him. That's my question: is Pittsburgh really kind of has to adapt the system again because they had Kenny Pickett, and then now it's this, and then they got just Fields behind, like who's more of like a running quarterback, I guess, who has a good arm. So I'm not sure. Like, I don't think any of it means anything in preseason. I think preseason is a big waste of time.
It is now, yeah.
The fact that the guys need reps, right?
Yeah.
So, but as far as for and it's great for the guys at the back of the roster. There's no doubt about it. Opportunities to make the team, but it's at the front of the roster. Like, I don't know how many reps these guys get for you to really get a big seeing of what they can actually do and where he is. I mean, I don't know if you'll know anything, but it's great for news. It's great. Listen, I like seeing Sierra standing next to him, so I'm good with that. Like, give me Sierra, maybe she could come. I would like her career to come back. I was a fan, so
you were okay.
If I want, I mean, I get it. She's a mother now and a wife, but I did like the old Sierra, so dancing on the car, she was great.
I know that because you worked with Heisman Trophy winners. You've worked with many, many quarterbacks. And in your opinion, the height that is necessary to have success, I know everyone's a little bit different, and there are smaller quarterbacks that do blow up. But in your opinion, from the quarterbacks that you have worked with, like Marcus Mariota and so on, what do you think is the proper size needed, to protect yourself from injury and have a long, lengthy, successful NFL career?
The biggest thing is a quick release. That's the biggest thing, which Russell Wilson has a pretty good release. So, but the quick release protects you from being able to take extra hits that you shouldn't take. I mean, obviously, Brady had it, a big tall guy, and Breeze had it, who was a 6 quarterback. The ability to quickly make the reads, be able to get rid of the ball. I think Russell Wilson does a decent job of that. He's been hit or miss. Last year it was, I don't know what it was, but it's been a little hit or miss. But he has a quick enough release. I just think that, look, you could take the anomalies who are some of the greats in the NFL, and they could be whatever size they want to be. I mean, if they're one of the greats, they're going to be. It doesn't really matter because one of the greats, and I include Drew Brees in that. But even Drew Brees probably had some like he was just so good that he really understood the timing of things. He's rare, I think Russell Wilson has to be able to, if they cater the system around what his strengths are, if the receivers that he works with, he's able to get certain timing things down. I think they're going to need to have a level of a run game that's going to be really, really important with
Najee Harris.
Yeah, let's look at what when Drew Brees was with the Saints, Kamara, right? He had a run. You give them a run game, a real run game. Now they can become more effective because play action becomes a factor. Those guys can be threats out of the backfield. that takes a little bit of pressure off of a quarterback. So, I mean, those things are all important. I think the Steelers are okay. I don't think, I don't know if they're a top tier team.
And it's a tough division too.
Yeah, they've been good. They're always Tom's a great coach. They're always been good, and he's always able to pull it out when it looks like they might have a weak year. He seems to be able to pull it out, but because he is a great coach. But I don't think overall they have the greatest, like roster that you're going to be like, oh, this team's going to challenge for the Super Bowl. That's my opinion. I mean, and I don't know that Russell Wilson is going to get you there anymore. I think Pete Carroll was the right coach at the right time for him. I think, for that part of his career, Pete Carroll, as much as he is an excellent coach from a defensive standpoint, he's also very motivator.
He's a player's coach.
Yeah, he's young at heart. I think it worked well with him. We'll see. I mean, I think this is Tomlin really. I think Tomlin's really trying to evolve this Steelers team. And I think I mentioned this before. Like when you had Roethlisberger for all those years, you had one guy that represented a certain style of play forever. And now that he's trying to like adapt the style of play to what he has now and what kind of players he has at quarterback. And I think that's hard. Look, Belichick couldn't do it.
No, he couldn't.
He tried. He was, whether they gave Mac Jones enough time or you got to do it fast now in the NFL. You've got to adapt that whole roster very quickly to the new quarterback. And that requires that's difficult to do, especially if you've had a system that worked really well under one guy for a very, very long time. That's why those guys like a Brady or Roethlisberger, they're so valuable. Like, you're getting 10 wins with those guys. That's 10 wins. Like, and if you lose a game, it's because you just happen to have a bad game where he got sacked and threw the ball around. But you're in every single game with those kind of guys. And that's may or may not be the case right now.
Frank, do you think that Justin Fields, from what I read, the first unit is going to get 4 series? Do you think Justin Fields has any chance of winning the starting job in Pittsburgh?
No.
None.
No.
That came awful fast.
No, because Russell Wilson is the focal piece to try to inject life into a lifeless offense. I think from what they had last year, Fields is there because Fields didn't cost much, and Fields always has that athletic upside.
Yes.
Russell Wilson, on the other hand, I still think he's one of the better play action quarterbacks that there is in the game. So that heavy running game that Pittsburgh relies on anyways will be to his benefit. Now, whether he has the tools around him, I think they do. I don't think they have a really standout number one receiver. Right?
No,
nobody. I mean, look at who they've lost the last couple of years, starting with the mind of Antonio Brown. But I don't think that they have the standouts. But I think that they have a decent core. I love the tight end position. Najee Harris can catch out of the backfield, and I think Russell Wilson, if he's comfortable in the fit and not asked to do too much, that could go a long ways for Pittsburgh. At least, I see them as a 500 team, maybe a 9-8, somewhere in there. I don't see them really busting out past that, but I think that's a reachable goal for them.
Dave, what about you? Do you think Justin Fields has a chance at all to win the starting job in Pittsburgh, or do you think it's Russell Wilson's all the way?
Well,
because they have been splitting reps.
Yeah, but I don't think they brought him there to start. I think they brought him there to
learn.
If he's there, if Russell Wilson can't do the job, he's actually in a great position, Justin Fields, to be honest. He's young. If Russell Wilson does the job, there's no real pressure on him. He can continue to develop, some of the things that he really kind of got pushed on pause when he was with Chicago because he had to run so much. But if he fails, Russell Wilson, they will go to Justin. If Russell Wilson fails, they will go to Justin Fields, and they will not turn back until maybe who knows what will happen in the offseason, but that's the way that I think Tomlin's playing it, and that's the way I would play it. I would be like, this guy's young.
Yeah.
Maybe he can be a guy. I don't know yet. We really don't know. The jury's out. Like most people say no, but he's big. Justin Fields he's got an arm. He can run. We got a guy that's quote unquote proven some things in the NFL. He's been to Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl. Let this guy, that's his job to lose. If he does the job, great. If he doesn't do the job, Justin Fields is there as my insurance policy. And then if Russell Wilson doesn't do the job and Justin Fields goes in, that'll just be the end of Russell Wilson. I mean, that's pretty much what I think will happen. Now, I think they'll give Russell Wilson some time, throughout the season.
Yeah.
And I think
they're not going to pull the plug on him early.
Right. I think Frank's right. The running back is a big part of it. Like the question becomes, I would like to see George Pickens is a guy that has the potential to be a big time guy. I'd like to see if he could get there with Russell Wilson, if they have that kind of connection, because of his size and all that, his athleticism, and they have a pretty good tight end. I think it's
Frymouth, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a pretty good tight end. He's done some really good things. So I think they have some pieces. If you look at the skill positions overall, you don't go, oh my goodness. I mean, like
they're not setting the world on fire.
There's not guys everywhere. It's but they have, I think it's a situation where, you roll Russell Wilson, he does well, great. You're in business. If
right.
Justin Fields is there, and I think that's how it's going to roll. And then we'll see. Like I think Frank's right. Like if they go above 500, I think that's a win. That's a win for them. Tomlin probably wouldn't like to hear that because he's a competitor. Yeah. But but that's bottom line is that's a win and they're moving in the right direction. I think if Russell Wilson does that, he'll probably keep his job. If they're in record, then that he's struggling. That will happen.
Yeah, and I think a lot. I mean, not that this is a Pittsburgh Steelers evaluation segment, but I think a lot hinges on their offensive line, which has kind of been their Achilles heel the last couple of years. And I haven't followed them in camp long enough to see the true upgrades across the front. So if they can improve on the line play as well, and I think they will, if Wilson can get rid of the ball a little faster, especially. So hopefully it comes together for them.
Dave, I wanted to ask you, especially since you are a Cowboys fan, Dak Prescott. He has been in the news almost every day. Because of the contract situation.
Yeah.
Constant talk about his contractual obligations this year. He's going into the final year of his contract. He's making $29 million, which is surprisingly on the low end of the quarterbacks for what they've been signing for. And he is counting $55 million against the salary cap because they restructured his contract and gave him a bonus or whatever. And they restructured it every year. Now the final year is always the expensive year. So $55 million is going to Dak Prescott.
That's not a bad payday, after taxes. That comes around $30 million, maybe.
No, $29 million. No, I agree. But
that's not bad.
$55 million for a cap hit.
That's not bad for not not winning playoff game. That's not bad. It's got to win.
Not at all. But you got Dak and you got CD Lamb. Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Dave.
Yeah.
Dak and CD Lamb. You can only pick one. Who are you signing?
Good question.
That's why I'm the best host in the universe.
Dak or CD Lamb? I think you always replace receivers.
Even Dak's only 31. He's young. So I agree. I agree with you.
I think that quarterbacks, you can find another receiver. Yeah, I think you can. Now, dynamic one? Absolutely. Does he get a ton of yards? Absolutely. Is he a great fit in the system? Absolutely. But every year receivers come out, every single year, and they come out more than ever. You cannot. There are so few good quarterbacks in the NFL. There aren't any of them out there, and they're
we
not
said that.
college either. Like you're getting like one a year that actually makes it. Even though they all get drafted early. I'm not saying they'll all go early.
Right.
Actually getting that becomes a star. If you got one a year, that would be good. That becomes a star, and there's no more drafts like when they drafted Dan Marino, where everyone's like, oh, Dan Marino, 4 or 5 guys went before him. Well, all those guys played for like 10 years in the NFL at quarterback. It wasn't like those guys were bad,
Yeah.
Even Kenny O'Brien, like, oh, we could have
O'Brien. I was just gonna say that Ken O'Brien.
He was good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ken O'Brien was good. I mean, people can say whatever they want. Ken O'Brien was good.
He was a lefty, though.
I don't. Obviously, nowadays you have as many lefties at
I don't
all.
think so.
Oh, I'm thinking of Ken. Okay, Ken O'Brien wasn't a lefty.
No, I don't think so.
All right, I got that one wrong.
Back then, you had lefties here and there, though.
It was before my time. Yeah. I apologize.
Nowadays, that's been moved out of the game because you can't develop your team the same way, and nobody. I'm talking all the way from the basically youth level up. People are running teams the same way now. It becomes a certain way. But anyway, but Kenny O'Brien, I was like, oh, the Jets could have had Dan Marino. Absolutely, that would be great. But it wasn't like Kenny O'Brien wasn't slinging the ball over the yard.
No. They had Altoon.
So all right. So Steve asked a great question. Let me follow up with another question to a Cowboys fan. If you had a crystal ball, and we could tell you at this point in time, here's the progress of Dak Prescott within the last X amount of years since being drafted, are you happy with what you got?
Everything other than playoff wins. I mean, you're. Let's look at his. Look at
his production. Yeah.
The statistics: 4,500 yards, 105.9 rating, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions.
Wow.
But that was last year. 69.5 completion percentage. Now, has he struggled when teams at the playoffs? That's the hardest thing. You're facing really good defensive coordinators in the playoffs.
And on the road they struggle too.
That's a tough deal. But from 2022 to 2023, he went from 91 rating to 105. He went from 15 interceptions to 9. He went from 23 touchdowns to 36. I mean, I don't know.
So he is improving. He's shown.
Yeah, but you gotta win. That's like dating a girl. Listen, this girl.
You're saying
this girl is a
winning
bombshell.
The Chiefs, possibly the 49ers.
No, they can do it. You can break through. You need guys to break through. He's being paid enough. He has enough talent. He needs to break through. There's something missing.
Running back. He doesn't have it.
No, he doesn't. I'll give you that. But he did have a running back. They did have a running game for a little while, and then they got rid of him.
Poor job at that. That's the only thing they've done a really poor job of. They had the running backs, but then they got older, and they just didn't replace them properly.
Right. But it's like having this girl. She's smoking hot, right? She's her family's billionaires. I'm dating her, but she's brain dead. You know what I mean? Like she checks all the boxes, but the one that you need something there. There's something missing with Dak Prescott.
Wait, hold on.
Brain dead?
Yeah.
Let's go back, Frank, for a second here.
Yeah.
Let's unpack this because this is way better than as much as fun as football is.
Yeah.
He's a billionaire, but there's nothing upstairs. Are we talking 100 IQ? Are we talking 80?
No. Like
a vegetable.
Yeah, basically, right.
Oh,
that's
okay.
You know what I mean.
You're almost, okay.
But yeah. No, I'm not saying. Listen,
drooling.
If she no. I mean, she's in a wheelchair drooling. I can't.
Okay.
My thing is though, it's like it's that missing chip. You can't go all in because you're missing that one important piece. That's the one important piece that Dak is missing. The playoff wins. They are.
Yeah. So Dak going 12-5 every year, 11-6, 12-5, whatever. That none of that matters, but because the other one
It doesn't.
So
congratulations.
If Brock Purdy was the quarterback of the Cowboys, how many wins would he have?
Oh, I think 8.
I don't know. Well, when you have great backs in the backfield, Mostert and McCaffrey,
I think you'd have.
It makes a total difference. Of course, they're missing a piece. So Dallas is missing a piece. So you're saying with a running back. So and obviously it's not who they have this year, but with a running back in the backfield, a high class caliber running back, that will push it. That will make Dak the complete guy. That'll push him over the top.
I asked Dave that last week.
Sophisticated play calling, run game play calling. I don't like their run game play calling.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
The 49ers are way more creative in how they use their running backs. So yes, maybe their running backs are well, now they got Elliott back. I guess he's older. If you run them straight ahead, okay, you just want to run inside zone with these guys. You don't want to run any kind of power. You don't want to run
No, they don't run gap schemes. They're not a gap scheme team.
You don't want to run any counter action. You don't want to run stuff where you're doing that jet action like they do with Debo.
Yeah.
You have to have a level of creativity with your run game where your guy who is going to pound it in there has something to offset the situation. I don't think the Cowboys do a great job with that part of it.
Yeah.
Does McCarthy, I think, understand the passing game? I think, he did it he kind of doing the same kind of thing he did with Aaron Rodgers and stuff like that. But unless your running back is that guy, which he's had those guys when he was with Aaron Rodgers, unless you have a guy that's that guy, it's a feeble running game. So it's a feeble running game scheme. And it's designed they designed their running game reminds me a lot of like when Manning had his running game, and Peyton Manning was such a good passer that they just needed the running back to bang it up in there, get the yards necessary. Every once in a while he'll break one, and they happen to have some really good running backs, but that's what they would need. And so Peyton can have a little bit of pressure taken off of him when they need to throw. That's how they utilize the running game with the Cowboys. Well, I think that you need to be more creative like the Chiefs are and the 49ers are with their running game. So you don't just rely on that back having to be able to pass. Yes, Pacheco was really good, but the timing of the running game with the Chiefs,
they had some misdirection. Yep.
They do a good job of that, and you leverage his strengths. And
they had a good screen game too, I thought.
There's ways you could do it. I just think that McCarthy is really an excellent pass game guy, really, really good there. And I feel like he kind of looks at it like in the 2000s, and maybe the knock on him that if this guy can bang it in there, get yards, that allows me to throw all over the yard. But when you get to the playoffs,
it's a different game.
You could scheme against that, especially if you have the corners to cover to maybe neutralize CeeDee Lamb a little bit. I don't know. I just think that it all ends up falling on the quarterback. So to Frank's question, is Dak good enough to do that? That's the question. I don't know if he is, if it all falls on him.
You can't answer a question with another question.
Well, Dave, I asked you last week.
I'll answer for you. Is he good enough? The jury's out on him. There's no way to really know. So far, he has not proven that he could. But I also, like I said last time, they also defensively, okay, let's bring Michael Parsons off the edge.
We'll run at him.
Ran for $1 million yards.
Yep.
But Dave, remember I asked you last week, if we put Dak Prescott on the 49ers,
they win the Super Bowl.
49ers are winning the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Right?
100%.
Yeah, that's my point.
If he's on the Chiefs, though, I don't know that they win the Super Bowl. So that's the difference between him and
personnel-wise, that's the difference.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I don't think the Chiefs, they have some excellent personnel, but and Andy Reid, I don't think he's that level. I think he's above what the 49ers have. And that's where you're in that thing where if Dak is on a team with a roster, he's going to win a Super Bowl faster than some other guys. Okay?
I can't believe he's only 31 years old. It seems like he's been in the league forever. That's the thing that shocked me, seeing he was only 31 years old. So, I mean, he legitimately he's in his prime.
I mean, I guess he's been in for 9-10 years, maybe 8 years. This will be his 9th
8 years. Okay.
So he's hitting his prime the next 3-4 years. I would say that would be his prime years. 34, 35, right?
See, I think the first few years they should have had a chance to win. I don't think he was good enough yet.
Yes.
Even though his stats were, I don't think he was good enough. I thought last year that he was, and I was disappointed.
It looked that way. It looked like they were ready to roll. It really did.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you look at it statistically from those early years, he did have the backs, right? Yeah. And those guys were young. They were good enough, and his stats were out of this world, but he was not good enough to win it for them in the playoffs at that time. I thought that he was good enough last year. I thought he was at that point. So I guess I would say I was probably disappointed. And then the question is, does it all fall on him, or is there a lot more going on than that? And
it's
I don't know that McCarthy's guy to win him the Super Bowl per se.
Yeah. Well, were you happy when the eventuality was Pollard as your number one?
No, I at first I thought they needed another guy. I think you need two really good running backs.
Right, I agree.
Pollard is not. He could be like, if you have two, and you want him to be the 1A, and number 2 was a solid guy to get banging up in there physically, then yeah, I could see that because he's fast, but. And they had that originally when Ezekiel Elliott was really the 1 and he was 2. But I don't see it when he's the 1, period, and the next guy is not even close. Like that's
and they have a chance. They had a chance during the season and even in this offseason to, let's say, sign a guy like Derrick Henry. Would that have been that would have been someone I would have taken a shot on during the season to bring him in. I mean, Tennessee was ready to give him up.
Yeah, he was available.
100%.
Yeah.
Because he's Ezekiel Elliott, more physical than him,
and he's younger,
and he still has his legs, I believe. So
yeah.
So the other news of the week, Jim Harbaugh wants to sign Colin Kaepernick as a coach. He wants him to be on his staff. And Colin Kaepernick and his team, his agents or whatever, see it as possibly a way for him to get back into the NFL, because he obviously had most of his success with Jim Harbaugh in the 49ers. Do you think that Colin Kaepernick will go to the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh, Frank? And do you think that he will eventually find his way back on the roster? There's worse quarterbacks out there.
I thought Kaepernick turned that down. That offer down.
He hasn't definitively. He's considering it.
That's what he said. I saw him say that. Kaepernick.
What did he say?
Playing the 2028 Olympics as flag football.
How old is he now?
He's 36.
He's 36 now. Okay, so we're beyond playing age basically right now with having been off the field for 5 years or 4 years.
But he hasn't taken the hits. He's fresh as a daisy. There's like Bailey Zappi with the Patriots. You're telling me Colin Kaepernick
wait a minute. You're the NFL. You're Goodell. And you're going to say, hey, you know what? We're rolling in all cylinders. We're streaming. We're going to be making probably double the money we're making in another 5 years.
Let's irritate people.
Let's spark something up again. It's like let's have having Trump run again, right? Let's throw gas on the fire. Let's bring this guy in and have him. We'll give him a tryout. Yeah, who's bad? New England's bad. I'll pick up the phone. Hey, Rob. I know you were getting tugged by that Asian girl in the massage parlor a couple years ago. We pushed that under the rug, right?
Rob?
Yeah.
Bob Kraft.
They're on. Listen, all those guys are on first name levels. Don't bullshit yourself. So Rob, okay. I know you were getting rubbed and tugged, and we covered that up for you and all that. So listen, we need you to do a favor here. We really want to be DEI inclusive with everything. So we want you to take Kaepernick on, and you can't cut him.
No,
is that what they're going to do?
No, it said he's going to be a coach. It's not going to be a player.
Well, no, you got to bring him back as a player. You said he's fresh. He's had 5 years off. He's got legs. You just said that.
I said that, but it said he was offered a job on staff, not as a player. But they think it'll lead to it.
If Harbaugh wants to bring him on as a coach, I don't think anyone's going to stop him from bringing on whoever he wants as a coach.
I agree.
I don't know if that's a stunt or anything. But and listen, NFL that happens all the time in the NFL. This guy played.
Yeah, it does.
With this guy.
Kellen Moore, the coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, that happens all the time. The NFL, you look at every NFL coaching staff. There's a litany of guys that played in the NFL, and they literally hire them
right after they retire. Yeah,
they retire. They hire him as a coach, or they coach for a year somewhere, and they hire him. So that wouldn't shock me. I don't know if there's any validity to the statement or not, but it wouldn't shock me. And I don't think anyone would be in the coaching circles would be opposed to that. Now the question would be is does Harbaugh have a conversation with Kaepernick if that was the case? This is what I expect if you're going to be in my coaching staff, because there ain't no coach. And any coach anywhere that wants any rogue coaches on their staff. So
no, they don't want to quarterback.
Yeah, wouldn't they be afraid that he would unionize the coaches and like Herbert would lead the revolt and all the quarterbacks would walk out on Sunday at like 9 a.m. if they don't get their demands met?
The coaches have a union. The coaches do have a union.
Well, right, yeah, but you know how it goes.
You think he's going to have the coaches go on strike?
Yeah, not even the coach. You don't care about the coach.
They're going to kneel.
Some sort of uphill, underground kind of revolt at the last second. It's like 11:59 or 12:59. The team doesn't come out of the locker room.
He's gonna bring in Che Guevara shirts for everybody on staff.
That's it. That's right. Absolutely. Wouldn't they be afraid of that?
I'm sorry I brought that up. Okay. Well, that's good to know. So good luck to Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, good luck, Colin.
The game last night, the Philadelphia Eagles played the New England Patriots.
Okay.
We got to see the first on-field action of quarterback Drake May. His statistics were not he didn't light the world on fire. He was 6 of 11 for 47 yards. I think they gave him 2 series. And then from the rest of the way, it was, they played the reserves. Jalen Hurts didn't play at all. And it was just the third and fourth teamers.
How did Milton do?
Milton. They don't even show that. I'll have to check the box score to see if Milton.
So if he didn't play, he must.
Kenny Pickett played. Kenny Pickett played for the Eagles. He was 11 for 13 for 67 yards.
11 for 13, 67 yards.
Yeah, and
did he start out or?
He was the second. He came in second.
5.9 yards per reception.
And Joe Milton was 2 for 7 for 20 yards.
Right.
Joe Milton. Jacoby Brissett was 3 for 7 for 17 yards.
If Drake May can't pull this out, it is going to be a mess in New England.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, Drake May scored a touchdown, didn't he? He ran for one.
I'm looking. Yes, he did run. He had 4 carries for 15 yards.
There you go.
8 yards a carry.
There you go. Single wing. We're on the single wing.
The Patriots are in trouble. The Patriots are in trouble. I watched quite a bit of Joe Milton. I was not impressed with him. I was not impressed with him at Michigan. Did you like Joe Milton at Tennessee?
I didn't mind Joe Milton at Tennessee.
He's just too short.
Yeah,
right?
but not even that. He's got a little bit of everything, but he doesn't have that it factor for me. Who knows? Listen, they loved him in camp. The whole talk of Patriots camp is Joe Milton.
They did.
I didn't know Drake May was there.
You're right. No, they did.
But if Drake May doesn't come through and be able to have some sort of on-field success, it's just going to be a dismal season for New England. Those fans they're going to be hanging from the rafters.
Well, if it's Bailey Zappi, then yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's the offensive coordinator for New England?
I don't know who the OC is for.
It's got to be new. It's got to be new staff.
Yeah, it is. It's Gerard Mayo. I don't know who he hired as the OC. It's obviously not Josh McDaniels,
No.
but obviously handling a rookie quarterback of that magnitude.
Alex Van Pelt?
Oh, Van Pelt's the OC? Okay. Well, he's been around for a while. He's got experience. He's been in Buffalo. He was a third-string quarterback. So
I mean, they have a good back. I think their line is average. Maybe there's a little success in the run game to help a quarterback out, but if Stevenson can't run the ball,
no,
where are they going?
They're in trouble. No,
they don't really have a number one receiver. They just traded away. Who did they just trade away? A pass rushing end. Probably one of their better defensive players. Oh, the name escapes me right now. They just traded him to Atlanta.
Oh yeah,
like a third round pick
that just came
because they don't want to sign him. They don't want to pay him the money.
That just came up. Simmons.
They got Matthew
Judon, thank you.
Oh, they also signed Justin Simmons as well.
Simmons is a safety. He used to be with Denver, I think, something like that, right? Yep. Or Atlanta.
Yeah.
No,
Atlanta
signed him, right? He used to be with Denver.
Yeah, they did sign Jesse Bates III, who was another safety, and they signed pass rusher Matthew Judon. So, I mean, the Falcons are making moves, and the Patriots are not. So, looking at the AFC East, the Patriots are going to have a rough go.
No doubt.
And it's pretty clear that it's going to be obviously the Jets. I don't think the Dolphins are as good as advertised. Coach, we've talked about the Dolphins extensively with Tua, and they have weapons around them. They don't win on the road. They were undefeated at home, or I think they lost one game at home. Right. But for the AFC East, Buffalo has not improved tremendously. The Jets have been the Jets. They added a couple pieces, but getting Aaron Rodgers back is the biggest one. And then you have the Patriots, who clearly don't have a quarterback. What do you see? What do you see happening there? We talked the AFC East before, and I think all of us said it's either going to be the Jets or the Bills. And I think we're sticking with that, right? We think it's the Jets.
I think it's Jets 1. I'm going to say Jets 1, Dolphins 2, Bills 3, and then the Patriots.
You think the Bills are ahead of the Dolphins?
No, Dolphins are ahead of the Bills.
I mean, the Dolphins are ahead of the Bills.
Yeah, I think so. I'm listening. Unless I'm totally wrong.
You're on the Tua board because he got paid.
Yeah, he got paid. He signed. The locker room. Well, who knows? Maybe the locker room's in a war because somebody got signed with all the money. But all the other players got signed for money too. They shelled out a lot of money this offseason.
Oh no, all the quarterbacks did.
Even the receiving core.
Coach, I wanted to ask you this. They also did an article on Bryce Young with the Panthers and his struggles last season. Do you see him, obviously they say the biggest jump is from year 1 to year 2. Do you see him improving tremendously from year 1 to year 2 with the Panthers? They don't have a ton around him. He is the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. I think he also is, one of the shorter quarterbacks, like you mentioned. You think he has the skill set to have long-term success in the NFL?
No.
Yeah, I don't either.
First of all, he's on the worst team to begin with, so he's not even.
He's on the worst team. He is on the worst team.
That's the first part. Then the second thing is he's not big, so he's getting hit, and he's small. I don't know. I think he is in a heap of trouble there, and I was never so. I could the Heisman Trophy, yes, but it does not mean he is a great NFL quarterback. I mean, that's
Coach. Let me tell you this.
I never bought it. I experiment in that direction. Okay, and Kyler Murray is built differently. Like he's thickly built, even though he's short.
And you worked with him.
He's just a different cat running wide. Yeah. Like he can run, he can turn his legs over, he can score, and he has struggled mightily in the NFL.
Yes.
And he is as gifted and
he's dynamic. He's dynamic.
Size as you might ever, since like Doug Flutie. You know what I mean? Like as far as like a small guy that can do things. Like he's just I don't see Bryce Young. I mean, I could be. I hope I'm wrong. But I don't see him as talented as Kyler Murray. You know,
Well,
he's got
just
better. He might have a better demeanor. Like Kyler Murray is definitely a little bit of a meat guy, but you know, he might be better from that standpoint. But he's not as dynamic. I mean, there's just no, to me, there's no comparison dynamic
no.
wise. Guy, you know, when you're taking short guys, like you know, the one guy's built like a running back. You know, so
exactly.
and he struggles. And he struggles with injuries. He struggles with a lot of things, right? Because he's smaller, you know, in height means you're lighter. That's the bottom line. That's the biggest thing with quarterbacks, right? It's not just that being shorter is a disadvantage looking over things. Shorter, you're going to be lighter in weight in general.
Yeah, you got to be thicker to survive in NFL.
And they put nothing around him. Deontay Johnson?
No, they haven't.
Adam Thielen? Beyond past his prime right now.
Xavier
Leggett. They drafted Xavier Leggett, which but he's a rookie trying to fit in. Jalen Corker, come on, they've given them nothing.
Carolina.
They signed Damian Lewis on the offensive line. They hired head coach Dave Canellis, who Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield enjoyed breakthrough seasons in 2022 and 2023. But for the record, Bryce Young on the Carolina Panthers, his rookie season was the worst by any quarterback this century.
I remember when was the same. Yes.
It was.
Great offensive that did this and this and this and this and this. The savior of the Jets, Adam Gase. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mark Sanchez was 2012. He was the one before. Bryce Young's QBR is 33.4, and he was the worst of the century. So that's
he's got nowhere to go but up. Then
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that he could only, if it goes down, he'll be doing a podcast with us.
Right? Yeah, that's it.
So
you think he's going to charge us, Dave? Is he going to charge us too?
Is he going to charge us?
Yes,
probably.
Is he going to charge us for it?
Probably.
He's going to have to charge us if he's out of the league. So
they're going to ask for some of that money back.
I mean, he's going to have to charge us. You know what I mean? He's got to make a living, I guess.
All right, so we'll give you the last few minutes for your political time right now.
Yeah. What about the Olympics? Can we talk about the Olympics for 1 second?
The Olympics ended.
Yes, I know. I understand that. But
what would you like?
I want to talk about what was possibly the greatest last 3 minutes of basketball for a professional player.
Okay.
In the history of basketball.
I agree with you. I know you're talking.
It was unreal. And people are like, well, France didn't play great defense. What do you mean play great? They ran two at him for the last minute and a half. And he still dropped three balls. It was beyond unreal. Well, granted, that's the guy's MO. When he gets hot, he gets hot. Forget about it. That's why they said we got to run two at him, because we know he's got the hot hand. But literally the single-handedly biggest event that is going on right now, Olympic basketball. And he just pulls off the game of a lifetime. It's a game of a lifetime. I mean, those are things you're going to remember 30, 40, 50 years down the road. Your kids will remember it. It was just unbelievable.
Dave, are you an Olympic guy too? Did you watch this performance as well?
I did watch it. I enjoyed the Olympics.
Okay.
I actually was impressed. France really had a chance for a long time, but when Curry got hot, it was lights out. And I thought the Americans were ready to play right from the get-go, because I think LeBron purposely took that first ball and went right at them, drove right the lane, and boom, just to let them know that, like, we're here and we're going to take it to you guys. Even though he didn't score 1 million points, but he came out to try to set the stage there. Curry's, the final one where he put him to sleep shot.
Ungodly.
Was unreal, that shot.
I mean, literally off balance, step back, 2 guys in his face, extended, trying to block the shot.
I know.
And it was a rainbow.
It was
a bucket.
It was
a rainbow.
It was up there forever.
3 feet behind the foul line. I mean,
It's
behind
crazy.
the point line.
It's crazy. And the thing is, you're looking at it, and these are supposedly the 12 best basketball players in the world, okay, on Team USA.
Correct.
And you're playing against the French national team, has NBA talent, has the rookie of the year who's on the roster.
Yep.
They have some veterans, but they have guys that are role players or guys that really haven't made and established themselves as a top tier player in the NBA. But you're playing in international rules. There was a ton of fouls not called.
Yeah,
the physical game, right? Physical, and then more fouls were called on France actually than the U.S. game. But physical game and the crowd, behind their team right there. I mean, those are tough conditions to play in. And people unless it's easy for some guy to crack a beer open and sit on his barking lounger and watch the game. Wow, these guys should win by 30 or 40. But honestly, when you're in those kind of situations, that environment, that pressure, and who needs to win more than any other team in the Olympics than USA basketball, men's.
Yes.
Women, all right, they've won 8 in a row or whatever it is, right? But the men, they have lost in the past, and one loss to them is detrimental. It's
the end of the world.
It's a funeral.
It's the end of the world.
So I just thought that performance by Curry was unreal.
It's just like the men's 4x100. The men are supposed to be the best, and they haven't won since I don't know, 2004, Mo Green. They haven't won in 20 years, and it's because they are supposed to be the best, and they can't get the damn passing around. Jeez. I mean, the women pull it out. The passing wasn't great, but the girl Richardson pulls it out from behind.
Oh yeah.
But the men, it's like, I mean, it's absurd. To me, it's absurd. So as great as the things that were great to me in the Olympics, the men's basketball was great. I didn't watch a lick of women's basketball. I'm assuming they won. But
yeah, they did.
They beat France by 1.
What's that?
They beat France by 1 point.
Well, Diana Taurasi set the record for most.
I didn't even know that. It was a close game. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I not know that. I assumed they were going to kill everybody because I can't even imagine anybody has anyone close. But
France attempted 50 some odd 3-pointers in the game, so they were just trying to.
They've gotten better because the WNBA brings over more European talent, so that's why.
I didn't know that. But I didn't watch that, so I really didn't. I thought
the track was fun. I agree with you there.
Track was fun. I don't know about the whole drama with Noah Lyles there.
Yeah, right.
But I tracked
across. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, America was dominant in track, other than a few hiccups. They were absolutely dominant. The Simone Biles, I thought, was great to watch.
It was good to see her resurgence. Yes.
That was a nice resurgence, and
Katie Ledecky was a great story again, and she'll be back in 28.
Awesome.
In LA.
Awesome. I mean, the fact how much she wins by. So I enjoyed watching her. And so I mean, those were those are kind of listen when diving goes on, and I don't see it. I turn it off immediately. I already know who's going to win. The Chinese.
Yeah, Chinese. Yeah.
Great. I don't even know why they got to put it on TV for. I know the Chinese are winning diving.
They should tape delay the whole thing. Don't show me anything live. Just tape delay it, and that way we don't got to worry about it.
Kong. It's not going to be the Americans.
But who? You know what? Diving. I'll watch diving. I'm like, that's a pretty good dive. That's a pretty good dive. And they're like 6'2". I'm like, Jesus, what does the person have to do to get a good dive?
Yeah, you can't splash.
Nothing. Oh, there's the commentator's like, so there's 6 degrees off on the bend and the hips.
Your toes enough.
Yeah, how the freak? What is going on?
But
wait a minute.
I don't understand the scoring system anymore. Like the whole 10 scoring system thing is not like even watching gymnastics. I didn't understand what the scores
it's
meant.
Ridiculous.
That Simone Biles got a score. Basically, they had to beat that to win the gold because she has difficulty. That was the only thing I knew. I didn't know. I really didn't understand the scoring system.
That was crazy too. Was because of the difficulty of her movements gave her a higher score than whether she had completed easier movements.
The greatest moment for me for this Olympics, I had to go back because I taped everything, so I get to see it in segments as I went back.
Well, yeah,
I watched Turkey send a hitman, an assassin, to take the silver medal. What a great meme that was! Like somebody goes, "I can't believe Turkey sent a hitman to win the silver medal." The guy, all these people shooting from around the world are bent at a 45-degree angle, wearing super high lenses. They have these $1 million rifles, everything sights. This guy came in with jeans and a shirt that said Turkey, and he put his hand in his jean pocket and pulled out a pistol and ripped off the silver like it was nothing.
Well, that's what you get.
The pose that everybody was doing, like when they got their medal, they would do his.
That's great. Put a hand out, hand in the pocket. It's great.
Well, I wanted to get your politics in because I was listening on the way, and my father listens to the Fox News.
Sure.
It was saying that Kamala is going to let death row inmates vote.
Of course.
So is this normal? Is this a good thing?
No, they have to pull out every imaginable breathing body to vote. Last election, they pulled out all the dead bodies. We knew the dead bodies, but I think right now,
death row meaning Suge Knight and the record company, or
right, death row. That's right.
Yes, if you're on death row, Kamala says
death row records.
Yes. So they're telling me right now they're paying the Republican, the GOP is paying $250 on the November 3rd election day. You can be a poll watcher.
Right.
So basically,
really?
yes, you can. You're there watching the polls. You can't stop anybody. You can't, they could bring in a suitcase full of ballots. But the thing is, you have to observe and then go report to the polling station chairman.
And the polling station chairman is supposed to take action. Right.
So so they have that. So now I'm assuming that they're going to send poll watchers to cemeteries to make sure that there are no walking corpses coming in making these right. Exactly. That's how it is. So the problem is this.
Enter. Here's your ballot. Enter the country. Here's your ballot.
That's right. You're welcome. No, my thing is this: all politicians, whether you want to believe it or not, they all go in with great intentions. They go in wanting to help their community. They want to help their state. They want to help their country. They want to help their citizens. As soon as they get there, they realize that they can't make a difference.
They can't
because the money is too great. No one is going to let them F it up.
No one's going to.
Right? People. All that's going to happen is that there are going to be companies. There are going to be what do they call those people?
Lobbyists.
Lobbyists. Thank you. There are going to be lobbyists that are going to come in, and they're going to offer them a boatload of money to pull because their vote is only worthy to those people.
Correct.
It's only going to affect them. So it's not going to affect little Bobby and Joey who are starving at home, or Jim who hasn't had a job in 6 months, or hey, Tim and his wife their 401k just got halved, because the market just took a big dump. So the bottom line, these politicians don't care. Once they're in, they're corrupt, and they're corrupt by force. They have nowhere to go. And if you see politicians leave early after one term,
right,
they realize that Richard Hanna was a guy in our district.
He was.
God rest his soul. He went in. He believed. He went in. He served one term. He walked out of the term and he told me. He told us. He said, "You know what? I can't get anything accomplished. There's nothing that I can get accomplished. Even for my district.
Yeah."
He goes statewide. I can't get it accomplished because too many people have their hand in the cookie jar. Yeah. Too many people are getting greased. There's too much political and financial leverage going on Capitol Hill and all the way down even to state senates that he can't get anything done for his constituents.
He was a Democrat, though, wasn't he?
No, he was a Republican. He was, and he's a millionaire.
Yeah, no,
he was a millionaire. He went in. He didn't need the money. No, he doesn't need the $110,000 a year, whatever the hell you get.
My parents campaigned for him.
Right. So my feeling is this: whether you vote your conscience, if we're talking politics, vote your conscience. If you are a conservative person and you believe in conservative values, you're not voting for Trump. You're voting for those values. You're voting for what's. If you're a liberal person and you've been poisoned by not the communists. You've been poisoned by the educational society over the last 40 or 50 years. Then vote that conscience. If that's how you feel comfortable doing that, then do it. That's okay. But realize when you are looking at people and they are campaigning and they are telling you A, they really mean B. Okay,
Right.
A does not exist.
It doesn't.
They're
exist.
promising you right now. We have Donald Trump promising us everything, and unless he gets control of the Senate and the House, and even when they had control of the Senate and the House, they didn't get it all accomplished. He's going to promise you. He's going to promise you everything that you want, and there are people that love him. There are people that are going to vote for just because of him. Now, on the other side, there are not people that are going to vote just because they're going to vote maybe because she's a female. They want the first female president in the office, right?
Sure.
But there are people voting over there because of the hate for Donald Trump.
But she hasn't officially gotten the nomination, has she?
What does she need?
I'm just asking.
I think that Kamala, to most people, represents two things. Not that people that are not on, Republican value system, Kamala. I always want to say Kamala. It represents to them simply this. Okay, number one, she's like a clean slate in the sense that they don't know much about her. Nobody knows that much. There is a whole lot of stuff that she's done.
She doesn't speak a lot.
She doesn't talk.
She speaks a ton. She doesn't answer any questions.
Well, yeah, she speaks, but she doesn't.
It's on purpose. And then the second thing is she's not Trump, right? So those people who are voting in that direction, it's not someone they know anything about. They don't have any opinion about her, really, for the most part. One where if you ask anybody, what do you think about? If they tell you that she's great, okay, what she does? Like they don't know anything she does because she hasn't done anything. So
that's right.
It's just because they don't like Trump.
They say they're voting. You know what? I heard some people.
I did. She locked people in prison for smoking
marijuana. Here's what they're saying.
Now she said she's for. Those people should be all out. Okay, great. Trump to me, and Trump, what he has done when he was in office, he accomplished a certain amount of things. Did he accomplish everything that he wanted to accomplish? No. Does anybody accomplish everything that they want to accomplish? No. But what he represents and what his value, like you said, his value system, what you're trying to get accomplished, which is hopefully like some level of smaller government, individual responsibility, hopefully reasonable taxes. At this point, reasonable inflation. I mean, we can't have hyperinflation in America. That's nonsense. It's absolutely not. We're not Venezuela. I mean, they're shipping us their bad prisoners, for God's sake. And we're like, come on in. Go get yourself a cell phone and go get yourself some meals. And here's your hotel room that you can live in for the next 60 days.
$10,000 EBT cards.
I'm waiting for mine.
God. I'm going over to Venezuela and I'm coming back over here. And I'm going to have them please ship me to America as David, whatever you want to have, my David something, Remember,
how could Donald Trump, and listen, whether you like him or not, whatever, I cringe sometime when he talks.
Sure.
And that's what people
everybody.
I love when he talks.
I love it because I like the controversy.
Pure entertainment.
Right. But here's the thing. So Donald Trump, there's no way he could have got too much accomplished in the 4 years he was there, because when you go to the state fair and they have that shooting game where they put a star on a piece of paper and they wheel it out maybe 15, 20 feet, and they give you a Tommy gun filled with 100 pellets, right? Basically, when he would answer questions from all these liberal media slobs, it would be like a pellet gun game. And they're trying to just kill him.
Yeah,
and he's dodging. So he can't get anything accomplished because he doesn't have time to get anything accomplished because they are just postponing things. They are pushing him back because of all the questions and all the accusations and all the lies that they're trying to. Now, granted, do politicians lie? Every politician lies. Every politician lies. Every politician does.
Yeah.
They say A and they tell you B.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So bottom line,
of course,
it's difficult for someone to, but even with the houses aligned for the first 2 years, he couldn't get what he wanted to get accomplished because all politicians are on the take, and even if Trump, even if the president says we got to do this, we got to put it this way, no, we're gonna vote different because I'm getting money from somebody else, and that's the problem. We will never get forward in this country unless we can have maybe term limits, unless we can have a fixed salary. Like, listen, give the House of Reps $500,000 a year. But if you're caught taking any lobbyist money, if you're caught taking any bribe, life in prison or death penalty, we're going to shoot you on national television.
We
execution.
We had a question we didn't get to last week.
Oh, good.
It came from someone from Worcester.
Oh,
who wanted to know why Frank, if he has all these gripes about politics, why isn't Frank running for office? Because
I am not a scumbag. I don't want to turn into a scumbag. I'm just, that's my answer. I don't want to turn into a scumbag. Okay. The problem with politicians is they all get corrupt. I don't want to be corrupt. I can't look a person in the face who can't. The Harris and Walz campaign put out a lot of social media stuff. And
Walz is the worst.
Right. But the guy let his one of the cities burned almost to the ground. So, but bottom line, they put out social media stuff saying that, you know what Kamala Harris brings to this election?
Yeah.
She brings joy. And you know what? I can't eat joy. What do you put on joy? Mayonnaise? Yeah. And when I go to the bank, can I pay my mortgage with joy? I say, listen, I apologize, Bank of Utica. I can't pay my mortgage this month, but I'm going to write you a check that says joy on it. Can joy pay the bills? No, it can't. I don't need to feel great. All right. I need to be great. And the only way to be great is to be financially stable and to be able to support my family. That's the biggest thing to me. I'm a fiscal conservative.
Far left. Walz is even as far that this is I heard Bill O'Reilly say this. And I think this is true. It's Bernie Sanders in a pantsuit. You know what I mean? Like I that just resonates with me for some reason.
Yeah, I like that.
And you know, if she truly was trying to really actually win, okay, when there was all the stuff with like, you know, the controversy with J.D. Vance saying the stuff about single women, you know, and all that kind, and people were up in arms about that stuff. She could have chosen Shapiro, who would have got her on the side of Israel and all the things that would have worked her towards the middle a little bit. That would have been saying, "Oh, I really want you, independent voter, to come vote." Right. No, she went the opposite way. She grabbed Walz. I mean, who will be like, is there a police station standing? Here's the torch. Burn it down, please.
Burn it. Like, this is the guy that authorizes the police in his state, in the city, to shoot rubber bullets at people when they're outside of their houses, their homes during COVID. They had masks on, like, get back inside. You saw the video, didn't you? They were mowing down people on their own porches in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, because they wouldn't get back inside. The mandate was everybody had to be inside, so they're rubber pelleting their own constituents, and he approved that, and that's who I want to vote for. I can't vote for that. I'll vote for the lunatic. I will, because that's that what they're presenting is the worst possible thing ever. They haven't answered any questions. The policies have changed. Harris's policies have changed overnight. So she's not responsible for anything all of a sudden.
She's changed her policies compared to Biden's policies?
No, she was anti-fracking. Now she's okay with fracking.
No, she likes fracking.
Right. She open border. She was the border czar, and everybody come on in and what's free with it. It's a disgrace. Now we're going to have a border security. We're going to patrol it. Right. The spending on the government. No, we got to give money away to people. No, we're going to cut down on spending. We're going to make sure medical care. They keep talking abortion and medical care. Abortion and medical care, the two things that they always throw in your face. When the Democrats under Bill Clinton and the Democrats under Barack Obama had the House, they had the Senate, and they had the presidency, why didn't they cauterize Roe versus Wade? Why didn't they cauterize it? Why didn't they not just lock it in? You couldn't touch it anymore. Supreme Court could have made any decision they want. It wouldn't have mattered. Roe v. Wade is permanent.
But I thought what they did with Roe v. Wade
pushed to the states. Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade is just pushed.
They just put the power.
They pushed it to the states, right? But it wasn't that before. And now here's
No,
I'm not anti-abortion.
the framers of the Constitution wanted the states to be able to govern.
Correct. Well, but then
that's the battle. That's the battle going back to Civil War is this centralized power versus states' rights. This goes back to. I mean, listen, there's.
Oh wow.
You're going back to Jefferson was the states' rights guy, okay, and Adams was the guy that did Hamilton were centralized power guys, okay, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's where you have the balance of power type of thing, and that's why you have these things that go to obviously the Supreme Court, and that's why what to me, like certain things. Like Roe v. Wade and it is a kind of thing where, to me, it should be pushed to the states because each state is different. Now, this is the thing that like the argument always in abortion is, oh, this person can get. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a state that doesn't have.
Well, you're from Texas. You got to drive from Texas to Oklahoma or whatever they say.
Right. So abortion is not something. So let's say Texas doesn't have abortion as is outlawed in that state.
It is, yes.
Abortion is not something. Something in most cases, there are some really serious cases where there's something that's happening. Outside of that, it's a choice where they're going to go to that other state to get that abortion.
Yeah, absolutely. You have time. Yes.
Yeah, you have time in most cases, right? The question is really always about these rarer situation cases. That's always the
late term. Yeah.
But that's what we need. We need regulations on that. I'm not against abortion. I'll give you a perfect example. A 21-year-old that works for me, accidental pregnancy with her boyfriend. And she's not financially stable to have a child. She knows that right now. But she's not mature enough to have a child.
I'm against that as a whole. But because I think if you, and this obviously probably makes me pretty conservative, and I've made these mistakes in my life before, and I think I've learned from that, is that, you making those kind of decisions and nobody, nobody tells you to go and do that unprotected wise. And that now I do believe that there's a certain thing where you get in a situation from a life standpoint. Now, many people disagree with me. And I do say it does get sticky when you start to get to rape and things like that. I do.
Right. That's a totally different story.
Yeah.
Sticky thing. So I'm not like, I'm not so, I do agree it's a sticky thing. And that becomes, the people that are,
there's gray area.
Hard right, say, hey, this is God's will type of thing. I'm not that far on that. Like, I feel like if someone has to deal with something in extreme circumstances, like maybe rape or something along those lines, I do feel that is a very, very different. And I don't know what the answer 100% is.
Right. There is no for me. I'm conservative, but I'm like, you know what? The first trimester, I can live with that. If they have to abort a child or abort a fetus or whatever you want to call it at the time, or an embryo, if they have to, that's why I'm saying there's got to be something in place, because it could possibly ruin her life at such a young age, not financially stable, no support from a family, and the boyfriend, who knows, a boyfriend here one day, gone the next.
Well, the government
all we've done is we've created another single mother on the streets. Or we've created another orphan for the orphanage.
But let me ask you this:
and you say, well, or we did, or as a conservative, you say what we did is we took away a life that didn't get a chance to have that.
I totally understand that angle.
That's why abortion is such a difficult topic in general, because, like, I look at it as life. Once it's basically conceived, and there's actually, and then I also do understand the extreme circumstances. That's always my thing, is like the extreme situations where someone, what do you do if someone's going to die if they have the baby? How do you choose that? What is?
Yeah, for me, that's a no-brainer. You got to, at any point in time, if that happens or there's anything like that, you have to allow that. But why does a girl that works for me have to drive 300 or 400 miles across to another state line?
She doesn't.
No, not in New York.
Yeah,
but if she's in Texas,
she would. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's that, and then we're making other states look either better or worse as far as those social issues. I understand. I'm Catholic. I understand this, but it's just at some point we've got to all come to listen. Here's the law. Let's meet in the middle on some of these things. Just something in the middle.
That's a centrist view of it. That's very, very. That's a non-states' rights view of it. Just the conservative look at it is, I would say, the more conservative look at it is that this is up to the voters in the state, and the voters in the state represent the majority in this case. Now, that's why it's such a hot topic.
Right.
And it's a very hot topic for women in general, especially now, because you do have a larger portion than you've ever had in the United States of single mothers. And so that's a larger part than it's ever been. So that becomes a bigger argument. Like, are they the ones that get them basically, screwed in the situation by right? So, I mean, it's the $50 million question, but the big question is, in Roe v. Wade, to me, is should it be the government that dictates nationally what the rights are for a woman, or should it be down state? Right? That's the fundamental issue, and that's what Roe v. Wade really comes down to. Is it a states' right issue, or is it a nationwide issue where it should be blanket across the country?
See, that's hard for me. Again, I'm a fiscal conservative, I guess, just money wise, but that's hard for me because then we're not Americans anymore. I'm a Tennessean.
Well, Frank, let me ask you this: why did it come up in the first place?
Why did what come up?
You're both Tennessean and an American. That's what America is. America is not. It is not like
a dictatorship.
Another. America is a collection of states that come together to govern together. It is individual state governments that have decided to come together to have a central government that works with the states in order to have
it's
an
like
operating
Canada.
I agree, but I feel like then when I cross into another state, they're going to ask me for my documents. You know what I mean?
Technically, that's the part that we've outlawed, right? So we've outlawed in the central part of, like, the centrist part of America. The United States government and the states have agreed to that nobody in the United States has to go across state lines and show their ID. That is basically what we've all agreed upon as voters, that is something that is taken care of by the government, right? But then you get other issues like taxes, for example. We have a government that says this is what our federal income tax is, but then you go, each state has their own individual rules.
Absolutely, yes.
Taxes. So if I live in New Jersey, which is a high tax state, you guys are in New York, which is a high tax state, right?
Florida's no tax.
No
sales tax.
Right, but down that for New York State, that you have city tax, and so there's
yes,
you have breathing tax
because of city versus the what I would call, like, the state, right?
Central,
but New Jersey has higher state tax, right? Florida has no state tax.
Correct.
So individual states control that. That's basically what we've said. Hey, each state has the ability to do that. But here, as a federal government, we've all agreed that the federal government is blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we didn't agree to it, but our legislators have agreed to this. And that's what's pushed down to us from a tax collection standpoint. And then individual state. And that's why people move from one state to the next. So you're actually 100% right, Frank. If you're a Tennessean, you're a Tennessean and an American, right? Like, if I'm in New Jersey, I'm a New Jersey resident and a United States citizen. So the way that the United States is set up is you're technically both. You're technically both, and whereas other countries are basically like,
you're Albanian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're from a province in Germany, like in Italy. I lived in Italy 4 years. Bottom line, you are recognized by the province you live in.
Right.
Like or for your ethnicity too, in a way. You know, I'm Calabrese. I lived in Calabria, southern Italy, and that's where when you say where are you from, I'm from Calabria. That's the region of that. So I guess when you say where you're from, I'm from New York. It kind of works the same, I guess, but they're not governed. They're not governed. Well, go ahead.
Do provinces have individual? Do they have individual the ability to individually legislate
in Canada?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer. I don't know.
I know tax
Canada that well. I really don't. I think that for the most part, places like Canada and Italy are highly centrist, and other than maybe they may have an outlining, like one of those islands that may be outlier in some form,
right,
wise, where they're kind of like a colony. But as far as I believe that Canada is highly centrist. The government says this is what the tax rate is, and that's what the tax rate you pay. This is, the provinces, I don't think, get to dictate additional. I could be wrong, and I would love to. I would be curious.
I think
well, probably the cities can assess a higher tax rate for collection in the cities.
Montreal and Toronto, I think.
Well, Quebec wants to secede anyway, so that doesn't matter.
Well, let me ask you this: why was Roe versus Wade even re-examined in the first place? That's what I don't understand.
I'm assuming, right? The court, right? So the court had it on its agenda.
Oh, they did,
and during probably existing in Trump's era.
I
had it on an agenda.
I'm assuming it was sued all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Right. And they had to make their final decision.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's
what I'm. Well, I think if the GOP loses, if this election is lost and we're a blue country for another 4 years, that is the single biggest factor, I think, in losing that election. I do.
But you still think that it'll be a close election?
I think you're going to see a 4 or 5 million vote swing towards the Republican side.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a 4 or 5 million vote swing. I think you're going to see over 20% African American vote for the Republicans. Yeah. I think you're going to see maybe an 19% Hispanic vote.
Yeah,
for Republicans. Yeah. You'll obviously lose some women. You were going to lose the younger vote. You were going to lose the younger vote anyway. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
But and the independents, I think, will swing. There are some independents that just hate the man, but independents will swing towards economic values, and towards nation preservation, more of a nationalist look. I think that's just my feeling from everything that I've seen, either reported online in reading. Because I don't believe the polls that are coming out just within the last 2 weeks. Biden was down 6 points. All of a sudden, the Kamala's up by 2. Come on! I know there's a big groundswell because of this announcement, because it's anybody but Biden.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it will wear off, and it will wear off after the first debate. It'll wear off when there's no questions answered, though, and it'll wear off when information really comes out, because the media, which is 95% liberal, controls every piece of information that comes out. It does.
They do.
It controls every. Do you know that, Coach? Do you know that right now, for the Harris and Walz campaigning that they're doing right now, all these appearances they're making at different spots in the country, people are being paid to go to these. You go to the event, you go to the counter, you signed up online or something, you go and you grab your $150 Visa card, and then you leave.
Well, when Megan Thee Stallion had the concert, and obviously Kamala came out, everyone said that was a rally for Kamala. But like, hey, listen, if Megan Thee Stallion down the block here, I'd probably go see her too. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
right. Yeah, they're giving you a Visa card and a concert.
Really pretty woman. I would go see her also. But so they count that as a Kamala turnout type thing. So I think that's the debate that they're going to have. I think in September, the debate in September, which is going to be on
pivotal. Yeah.
Well, it's good. Yeah. So I think it's going to be on one of the liberal networks, but that's going to be pivotal, because how they view Kamala side by side with Trump and how that interaction goes, I think is going to be a big deal in swaying things one way or the other. And I think Trump will do well. My thing is, he was able to go in hard on Hillary, right? And he was such an underdog.
He didn't care at that point.
Nothing to lose. And Hillary, you could she was not. Listen, I always say this: Hillary's smart as a whip. I respect her intelligence. She's a fighter. But
she's a bulldog.
She's a bulldog, but she's not likable, right? So she's very and she wasn't likable even among the constituency that was going to vote for her. She wasn't overly likable, right?
You mean no one liked the hot sauce in the bag?
Well, she won the
there.
Popular,
Come on,
she won the vote. She won the popular vote. She won the popular vote.
Right. So, well, she won that means nothing because it goes to. Listen, whoever wins California wins the popular vote. So
right.
The Democrats are always. I hate when people say the popular vote. Yes, there's 50. I don't know what there is now in California, but there's so many people in California. Okay, you're going to popular vote because whoever wins California is going to win the popular vote. So, and that's usually going to be Democrats, but it's a situation where. So that's why that's the only reason why even when Trump says I was going to win what matters is that you get the electoral votes because
that's
you won
right.
the popular vote. You could have won a landslide in one state, and you win a landslide in California, you're going to win the popular vote. If you won like 90%, which will never happen, but like in Texas, Republican one where maybe you win the popular vote, right? Because it's a large state, but that doesn't mean that you won the election. Winning the electoral votes mean that you covered the country as far as and that's again that's the balance that goes back to. It's why I always think it's brilliant. Obviously there was lots of flaws with personal flaws with the founding fathers, but not the principle of what they wanted to get done. Okay, and that's why I always say people have to look past. You can't. I know. Oh, you can't. Slavery was horrible, absolutely horrible. Okay, and it was the worst thing possible. Thank goodness we put together the Constitution the way that we did, because that enabled slavery to be outlawed. That enabled those things to happen. So even though they fought personally,
prohibition,
they put together things where, like the Electoral College, right? That allows a situation where people who might live in Montana to have an opportunity to have who they want win versus a situation where it's just what California, New York, and New Jersey,
all the big states
every election, right? And maybe Texas, right? The Florida, the Northeast corridor, meaning like New York, New Jersey, PA kind of thing. Florida, Texas, and California. But basically, that's who would dictate every election if it wasn't for the Electoral College. And if you go by now, obviously that's going to go probably to the Democrats just from a population standpoint. If you would go off the election, so that to me is like those are like flawed arguments, and that's the beauty of what they did. There's a balance of power that gives every person an opportunity to be represented both by their state and by their government. And I think Frank's 100% correct. Part of the issue is that there is so much corruption now in the government as a whole. Like,
you can't get it done.
There's one thing you can guarantee: there is corruption.
Right.
And whatever side you represent, you know what I mean?
So do you know, as a newbie politician, as soon as you get to Capitol Hill, you get there in Congress, you walk the halls of Congress, you sit down in one of the first meetings. After the meeting is over, they guide you over to either the RNC or DNC phone bank.
And you have to raise money.
And you are there on the phone 4 or 5 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, after your full day schedule, trying to raise money for the party.
Yep.
Which is, how can you get stuff accomplished? Yep. How can you, and I mean, you're whoring yourself out before you even get there.
It's all fundraising.
And it's all fundraising. It's all about who has the more money. It's not about that. It's about getting some stuff accomplished. Have a record. Have a track record. Stay on point. Just like for this debate in September, the Republican, they just need to stay on point with immigration, security, economics, living conditions, inflation. They need to stay on. We don't care. See, that's where Trump made a big mistake.
It's not complicated.
And I know why Trump is doing this. So he sat down in that black writers, newscasters interview there, and he said, well, is she black or is she Indian? Who cares? And now in this day and age, you can identify as a toaster. It doesn't matter what you are.
I actually 100% agree with you on it. It does not. She can identify, because if once you get into that debate, you lose. You get into that debate,
Right.
like, what does this person identify as? They were identifying as this before. Now they're.
And Coach, he's doing it because he's trying to show that how she swings. She's going to tell you whatever she needs to do for the victory. She's not telling you what she believes in. So one day she's Indian, one day she's black, whatever. Her accent changes when she's speaking to Howard University, and then when she's speaking to a big Caucasian fundraising event. So I understand what he's trying to do, but it's totally wrong. You can't do that, and he knows that. But you know what? He's Donald Trump. He doesn't care. He cares more about the theatrics and the show of this than if he's worried about, maybe tweaking a segment of society a little bit, which he may need.
Right. Well,
yeah, the question is, who's going to reach that group in the middle, who can swing either way, who's really not sure about Trump, not sure about Kamala. They're not, it's, the bases on both sides are going to vote. They're voting for their guy or gal. That's it. That's basically what's happening. And it's where do you win the points there? Now the question is this: I think the debate's I think a lot's gonna get shaken out in the next couple of months. The question is, like, and they kind of already doing it. Are the Democrats just gonna try and just keep Kamala on whatever's in front of the teleprompter and keep her out of the limelight where she's got to answer individual questions on certain things where it's not scripted?
Not scripted, yeah.
I think they're going to do that as much as they can. And I think, listen, to me, my concern is this. Okay, my concern is this. Not just, there's all kinds of domestic issues that she has very little experience with. That's number one. That's a big issue. Like you said, Frank, economics is a big, huge issue for everybody right now. Nobody wants to be looking at the stock market and go, which way is it going? Okay, even though it's generally going up. And if it's generally going up, is it only going up because of inflation? Because every gain I make in the stock market, I might be actually losing money. Okay,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all fool's gold, right? So then the other question is, okay, does she know enough domestically? Like, is she going to protect our borders so we don't just have nonsense going on down there? Okay, and I say this saying, like, there's a lot of people that are illegal immigrants that are great people. The key is this: you cannot allow anybody in the country. There has to be legal immigration. Okay, so we know who the great people are. Bring them. That's cool. Bring them on in legally. Awesome.
That's how we all got in.
We want them. Those are who we want as Americans. We don't want the people who don't belong here, meaning like people who could have a criminal background, could be dangerous. We just need to know who those people are. So is she strong enough to be able to handle those kind of things? And then internationally, which under Trump was not a big issue. Trump had, whether you liked his policy or disagreed with his policies internationally, they weren't crossing him. Okay, they weren't going to cross him.
Not at all.
When he says, no unnecessary wars, he doesn't say that we wouldn't defend ourselves if it wasn't a situation we needed to defend ourselves or one of our allies. But what he's saying is, we don't want to get roped into things that we could actually have gotten into a conversation with a country about and solve the issue. That's what it means to me when somebody says we don't want to get into these new wars. I wish he would explain that better. Just how I explained it, meaning, listen, we're going to defend our country. We're going to defend our allies if it becomes a situation where it could threaten our own sovereignty. But we are not going to be in a situation where we're not going to have a conversation with these countries to try and get them to work things out. To get, if we need to get Putin to stand down on something, we need to be able to have something at the table, the negotiation skills to be able to do that. to make sure people like Hamas do not feel like they can just do whatever the heck they want. Okay, that cannot happen. That cannot happen. Israel is our number one ally in the Middle East. Is the only ally that is a republic that is similar to our country. And the Chinese have the ability to. We don't want the Chinese to go and just run over Taiwan, which is a Democrat country. Okay, that has free trade, and so those are the kind of things that I think Trump would do a great job of being able to talk to as many of the parties as he can and make them understand that it's in their best interest to try to work things out. And I think he does that much better than Kamala would. Kamala is just going to go and say, all right, go ahead, take Israel off the map. Go ahead, take. I don't know how to handle Putin. Okay, we'll just have a 7,000-year war with him with no objective. That if we're going to fight a war, we need to have an objective in the war. It's the same issue we get into over and over again. We're not going to leave Afghanistan with let's leave them billions of dollars of weapons that they can just go collect and give back to people who could go and harm us later. These are the things that I think Trump will do a lot better job with. And Kamala, for me, if I was an independent voter, I want to know how she's handling all of those things, because it affects my family either directly or indirectly. The last thing we need is someone feeling brave enough to come over and try to do something over here. That's the last thing. And it doesn't mean they're going to come and bomb us. It means cyber attacks. It means taking out the grid.
Yes.
Right? Causing us into famines, because that's how you take over a country. You don't take over a country by saying, oh, we're going to send over nuclear bombs. I mean, that just takes over.
It's not going to work.
I agree with you 100% on that. Although my only change on that is I'm a nationalist. 40% of the country can't pay their bills. 65% of the country does not have $1,000 or more in their savings account.
Bank account,
in their savings account. So bottom line is, how do we remedy these things? How do we get people affordable housing? How do we get food costs down where we can, again, you know what? It's cheaper to eat out now than it is to buy stuff and cook it at home. It's nuts. How do we get people jobs that are consistent jobs that are going to pay?
Yeah, how do we get McDonald's, for example? You go to McDonald's, right? If you're a person that is living paycheck to paycheck, that used to be, I'm not saying it's a nutritious meal or anything like that, but it was a way for kids to be able to get some food in their system that was
right.
That a working mother, if a single mother, she was able to afford that. That cannot be the case. That you cannot go to McDonald's and have a $20 bill if you have 2 or 3 kids, $25 bill for 2 people. You know what I mean? To get your kids food. That cannot happen. That's part of the inflation problem that I don't think she has an answer for, right?
And it's not, to me, it's not another minimum wage increase. It's not, because, okay, it's 15, we'll go to 20. You take 20, prices are going to go up higher again.
Okay.
I'll give you 20. Your prices are going to go up higher again, 25. So it's not about making more. It's about making things affordable and cost less. 10 years ago, wouldn't have to worry about this. We had a lower minimum wage, real low minimum wage from New York State. My payroll has doubled. We talked about that, I think, last time. My payroll has doubled in the last 6 years at my store, and I can't double my costs. In other words, my charges to the customer. There's no way. So I'm losing money no matter what, and I'm happy to pay the people that work for me. But there's got to be some kind of reciprocation to where I can afford things to be able to make a profit and also to survive as well in this economy. And those are the things that they have to stay on point with. And, immigration, I'm just a nationalist. I don't give a crap about anybody outside of us initially. If I got some change left over in my pocket, I'll help the other countries. But to start shelling out billions and billions of dollars, and I got people sleeping on the streets, and we have mental health issues all over the place right now. We've got housing. It's impossible. How can you pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month for like a 2-bedroom apartment in certain parts of the country? It's ridiculous. And these are the things we need to control. How to do that overnight, I don't know, but we need someone in there to tackle that first.
All right. So here's one of the things that is really, really important. It is not a rob Peter to pay Paul type of thing. So
right.
government allocates money for this, and this. It's not taking this away and allocating it there. It's raising money in different areas from different avenues. So the question really becomes: is each area, each silo, doing what's necessary? So it's important. See, national. It's one of the things that, like, I always think people get messed up is that they think if we're giving money to this international thing or this fight or this country, that we're taking away money from Americans. That is not how the government works at all. So the government does not take away from one area and give to another. If that was the case, it would be 100% correct what you're saying. The problem is the willingness to solve each one of the issues that are apparent. So domestically, with people that are in poverty, for example, there is money to be able to solve those issues, but we are not figuring out the solutions to those issues.
Correct. But listen, I found this, Coach. I found this out today. I found a thing out today. I talked to a JCC coordinator, and we were talking back and forth. And bottom line, Israel got another $20 billion yesterday or today from the Biden administration. I'm like, what does Israel need the money? Well, here's what happens. Israel doesn't need the money, but Israel in its country itself produces nothing because it's a desert. So bottom line, that $20 billion is actually being brought back to this country and being spent at Lockheed Martin, being spent at Boeing, being spent at all different contractors to be able to buy weapons or supplies to be able to ship over to Israel so they can use them in their struggle against the Middle East, let's say, but it's the Arab world, whoever you want to put it against. But bottom line, instead of that $20 billion being spent at Lockheed Martin, we need it, just as you said it, we need it to be spent at home with homelessness, people that don't have jobs, people that can't eat, veterans that need assistance, and mental health people. They're
not withholding it to give it to Israel. That's the thing that you're saying. You're saying that they're withholding it to give it to Israel. But that is completely not the case. The case is they're not allocating the resources to be able to solve certain issues, or they don't need to or want to allocate those resources. So the Biden administration, for example, there are issues that are local based issues. Okay. So if New Jersey has a poverty issue, let's say, and we're expecting, okay, let's say they said Newark has a poverty issue. I'm just using this example. I don't know whether they do or they don't. Okay. But let's say Newark has a poverty issue. At first, is the citywide government is handles it the way they have. They get funds from the state to be able to do that. Okay, the state, okay, is getting tax money from its citizens to be able to do that. Those are the allocations from the state. If the state needs more money from the federal government, say they have a particular an issue that is very, very pressing. For example, disaster relief, for example, okay, then they would go and kick it up to the federal government to ask for disaster relief. For example, a good example of that would be the whole complaint during when George Bush was president, when we had Hurricane Katrina, right? And we had the situation that happened in New Orleans. The complaint was that disaster relief money was not getting kicked back. Well, it turned out that some of it was being allocated and not used properly, right? So is that Bush administration fault, or is that the local government fault? These are the $50 million questions that happen, but it's not we give to Israel and take from the poor. That is not at all the case. Or we give to the poor and don't give to Israel.
Right. I get your point. But my thing is this. Instead of $20 billion to Israel and $20 billion allocated to the poor, let's take the $20 billion and give it to the poor. Let's hold off on everything else right now. And we saved ourselves $20 billion in our debt.
You're saying take care of ourselves first before trying to.
That's all. That's basically my point. It's a nationalist look. I don't know. That's how I feel.
there's a thing to saying you want to take care of your own country, but it's not like you're taking from one fund and putting in the other. That's
rob Peter to pay Paul. I see what you're saying.
not taking from one or the other. If the government decides that it wants to allocate or take on debt or do anything to eradicate, let's say, poverty in the United States.
Sure.
Eradicate poverty in the United States. We're going to eradicate poverty. Okay, as a government, the United States is going to eradicate poverty. So that means the United States is going to go in to the states and potentially violate what the state statutes are to go in and say, no, you're not doing the job in states. We're going to allocate direct money to these individuals within your state. There are states. See,
I see what you're saying.
you think about everything as within, like, domestically, as it's only centrist based. It's not only centrist based. It is a lot of things that happen in your city or your state is state government, local government based first before it goes to anything else.
To the federal. Okay.
What is covered in federal,
That
like
makes sense.
military, is federal, right? So
Right.
any funding that is coming, it is federal, because part of your overall taxes that you're going to contributing is contributing to the federal government. But you can't say, hey, I want the state to the government, not state, local states, but the government to control everything that happens in the states, including poverty, including housing. So you're getting rid of the state individual. You would be getting rid of state individual housing authorities. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, like,
No, I agree. But let me ask you this question. Maybe we'll wrap it with this too. You give me an answer. So let's say, give me a figure on settling the homeless crisis, whatever. How many billions of dollars do we have to throw to it? Yes, the states are going to throw in first, but then the federal government is going to put in, let's say, $500 billion for homelessness around the country. We're going to try to solve it. And then they give $100 billion to Ukraine. My debt is now $600 billion as far as the federal government goes. It's not $500 billion. Because I've given 500 to homelessness. So now I tacked on another 100 billion. So my national debt increases powerfold.
The government budget for military defense, let's say, and allocation of foreign funds is X. Let's say it's $1 billion, period.
Sure.
You have to say, we're no longer going to have any foreign defense fund, period. Okay, and that $1 billion that we allocate to who it could get allocated to Algeria, it could be allocated anywhere, right?
Anyone, yes.
Yeah, yes. So that $1 billion, you're saying we no longer want to have any foreign quote unquote allocation budget.
Let's say for 2025 or 26, and maybe we'll revisit that. But right now we got to get our ship in order.
That you're saying that you want to eliminate those departments whatsoever. Now, if you're a foreign country, okay, you're a foreign country, and you're looking at the United States as like this is definitely one of the arguments that people make. We don't want anymore to be allocating, fighting any wars or fighting. Rand Paul used to be this big thing, right? Libertarian. We don't fight any wars. Period. End of story. That's it. Get rid of it out of our government budgets. Forget defense as far as anything.
We're not policing anything.
I'm not saying forget defense.
Take care of any threats that are foreign at all, okay? Whether it may affect us or not affect us. We're only going to, and we just eliminate that group, that budget. And all you're saying is that the government, which you don't trust, is now going to go do the right thing and allocate all this money to the poor people.
No. Maybe they don't allocate it at all. Maybe it's just not spent. And that way the budget reduces our national debt. We have to reduce the national debt.
We're spending, voting on budgets. Who votes on the budget? The people that you say
Congress
are trustworthy, right?
Right.
So you're now all of a sudden going to trust them to go and say, okay, you know what? We're not going to have a foreign defense fund, and we're not going to fund any other war or anything like that. Okay.
Right.
theoretically, that I say on theory, that makes sense, right? Theory wise, it makes, we're going to take care of everything at home. And we're going to say, you know what? Government officials are now going to take all your money and put it into eradicating poverty in the utopia world. This is what the chance of that happening is. Zero, because you're relying on the state,
the people that you can't trust,
the old bureaucracy to allocate funds all the way down to the lowest level. The only way that can happen is by giving people opportunity to pull themselves up to be successful. There is no top-down, situation that is automatic other than opportunity. Now, if the state says, I'm going to go and give everybody who's poor enough money to eat, do those people then say, I'm going to do what's necessary to make myself not be poor or be in that situation? There are people in destitute situations. There are people that are mentally maybe handicapped in the situation. There are people that, might have issues where they grew up extremely poor and don't know how to get out of that situation. I think all of those people deserve some level of help with the opportunity to figure out, can we get them opportunity? If we can't, there is a large group of people that are on the government roles from a financial standpoint that we do have to take care of. There's always, I think, going to be those situations, and we should try to take care of those people as much as we humanly can.
So you're saying
who don't want to do anything.
You're saying then the trickle down theory doesn't work.
I'm saying that if you just take a blanket amount of money and start handing out the old Obama phone, I got
right
phone. Does that make that person come out of poverty? My question: what makes that person get out of poverty? Okay, so I think housing is a good thing. I think housing is a great thing. That's why you see so much more of like you might have low income housing in a lot more different areas around the country.
Section 8, yeah.
That's been the government's quote unquote solution to getting people out of poverty. How has that worked in the Bronx and Brooklyn in those projects? Poorly, probably poorly in Albany. Go to Albany. You've been to Albany.
Oh,
Albany. So the question is, it's not money. It's not only a money thing. Money is important. Agreed. But it's not only a money thing. It's how are we getting people opportunities? Okay. And how are we being able to create and people who can't do that for themselves? Okay. There are people that have, for whatever reason, aren't able to do things for themselves. Okay. And there's a multitude of different, we have to try and take care of those people. I don't think but there are people that will choose not to succeed. Period. And
right, they just can't. 100%. They can't. Hey, Coach,
no, it's not they can't. They will choose not to take advantage. And there's another thing you also have to realize too. I think there are people, and I don't think there's anything wrong with this. There are people that are content with XYZ jobs, right?
Right.
That's the life they want to live, and that's okay too. I think that, there are people that are hardworking. If they're blue collar, they have a 9-to-5 job. That's what they're comfortable with. That's what they want. They're never going to have an extended amount of money, okay? But they're going to be able to, and you know what? People should have that right too. Now, if someone's a criminal, there's a place for them called jail. And if there's a group that needs help, we should try to provide the help. The question is, does that become federal or state? Like that becomes a $50 million. Does New Jersey help those people in New Jersey that need help? Or does the government come in and help those people who need help? And what does it mean if the government comes in and not New Jersey? How much does that increase our taxes? And do we want that to increase our taxes? If we decided to increase the domestic, I don't know if we are or we don't. I have no idea. So I'm spitballing this. But let's say we want to increase the domestic budget to do XYZ things to be able to help people around the country from the government. Taxes are going to go up. Taxes.
Right.
I like, Coach. I like money. I don't know if you see my hat, but I like money. That's why we call it Moneyline. So bottom line, I think everyone deserves that opportunity to be able to earn what they need. No, I'm with you.
All right. Well, we're going to hit our recording limit in a minute. Great.
We
Great
ran out of
episode.
we
the
ran out of
best, by
8
the way.
millimeter. We ran out of 8 millimeter.
2 hours. Great episode. Coach, I'm going to send this to you. This was great. You got to put this up.
Hopefully
I'm
nobody
gonna-
hates my house after my
No, this was awesome. This was awesome. This is a great episode. This will be on the radio. I can't wait to send this to Ernie. He's going to love it.
Yes.
And I'm going to send you the video if you can get the video up.
Okay.
And I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll tell you a little bit more about the call, but the call went really well.
Please send all questions to Unity Radio Moneyline so we can answer more questions.
All right. For the coach, Dave Schuman, thank you very much. And the other coach.
Wait a minute.
The other
how come I don't have? You've got your name up there under you. Coach has his name under there. And I got squat.
I got to figure out how to do that.
I got squat.
I got to figure out how to do that.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was just looking at it.
I got to figure out how to do that with one computer and 2 people. I got to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, it'll be like, and for Coach Schuman and this guy over here.
Frank the Great. That's what they should call you, Frank the Great.
Frank the Great. Yeah, it's my wrestling name. That's my ring name.
That's another spectacular money line. Ernie, please don't fire us. For Coach Schuman and Frank Cristiano and my favorite doggy daycare that'll be open soon.
No.
Remember, when life gives you lemons. Oh, this has been 97.9 Unity Radio Moneyline, the best sports show in Worcester today. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges,